That pedantic.
Right, it tells me I'm live. Are you hearing me? Are you hearing me over there?
We're not on yet.
Oh no. Ha 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 ha. Still waiting. Oh, don't tell me YouTube's fucking about again. I'm live. Hello. Oh, there we go. That is... Where's the fucking clock? There seems to be about nearly a 30-second delay between StreamYard and YouTube. Good evening, everybody.
But you're good.
Sounds okay? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Well, how are we all? Missy, Lost Souls, Jenny, Moo. We've got 11 in here, so there's a few more in the background. Good evening, lurkers. And my head lurker, of course, if she's there. Wow, what an eventful week so far. Let's let a few more drop in. Thank you, Holly. Oh no, we'll wait until a few more get in. Stitch, hiya. Michael, good evening, mate. Yeah, crazy people. You went far off there, mate. Oh, I knew you'd be in there, wee one. You got promoted, yeah. Chief lurker. All right, Grumpy in the background. Take it you're not working tonight, mate. Well, yeah, some for those of you that watched today's video will know what went on yesterday. Apparently I've upset one or two with my comments, but someone over on Paz's channel even accused me of defending the police, would you believe? Well, if the police did the right thing, yes, I would defend them. But we know 9 times out of 10 they don't, and they certainly didn't do the right thing yesterday. It was they did exactly what they were ordered to, which was promote situations. They openly lied to people. Marine Sat, welcome. New name in the chat there. I don't seem to remember seeing that one before. Good evening to you. Stuart, good evening, buddy. Yeah, as I was saying, they openly lied to the public that were there. When we get a few in, I will show the clip I've got of one copper openly saying that they blocked the road off and was holding people back because there was a pro-Palestinian march in the area. Good evening, Phil. Which there wasn't. There was no such thing. So it was a complete lie from the Met. We know they're capable of that anyway. Good evening, Simon. But before... I will let a few more drop in. Oh, one's dropped out. Someone doesn't like me. Oh, never mind. Maybe that's the one that keeps leaving the thumbs down on my videos. Keep it up. I don't care. It's nice to be somewhat different up there. Hunter, good evening. I'll let you all catch up.
Can I can go again later.
The floor is yours.
A huge thank you to everybody that sent me regards yesterday, either through YouTube or Facebook or Discord or all of the above, I was overwhelmed by the amount of best wishes I had from everybody. So yes, I had a lovely day. I'm surrounded by flowers over there. My remote control doesn't work on the telly now because the flowers are in the way for my beautiful daughter. And I'll be having a drop of whiskey from my son. And I'm being taken out for dinner next weekend as well, apparently. But yeah, to you guys, thank you so much.
That's the first I've heard of this.
Well, you were here when... Oh, you were probably asleep when Donna left.
I was going to say, who's taking you out to dinner?
Donna.
No, that's fair enough. I don't mind that.
It's her turn to cook and she doesn't want to.
The other bit of news that she hasn't mentioned, which we are quite proud of, both of us have been cigarette free since just after last week's live stream. So that's 7 days ciggy free.
I'm about to get a vape.
So yeah, I have. I didn't buy it. It was one that was given to Heather a while back. If I feel the edge, then I just have a little bit of a puff on that. But other than that, yeah, we've been doing really, really well. Excuse me, I am suffering from wind tonight from both ends. Right, well, before we go any further, let me get this up.
Yeah, you can now start doing your shit properly.
Yeah.
And I can start saying, typing
right.
in the...
I've got to get that up there. Right, we'll turn the sound off there for a minute. Right, as I was saying, yes, the Met absolutely lied to people yesterday in London. And let's get this up, so hopefully it will play with the sound. Right, let me know if you can hear it, people. But this is what the copper said to some members of the public yesterday. You can see the police there lined up. That's where the trouble started. Now, if you listen to this guy.
There's a Palestinian protest coming. There's a Palestinian march in the area, yes. Yeah, they're coming this way? I believe so.
There you go.
Could they hear that?
Did you all hear that? Someone let me know in the chat because I couldn't hear it. We could hear it this end. Bloody hell, chat's slow tonight. What's going on there? Drone, good evening, mate.
Not really.
You couldn't really hear it. Why was that then?
Do you need to turn the mic around so that you can pick it up over the speakers? We once said yes.
We once said yes. Jen Wynn says not very well. Could hear it okay. Yeah, it might be if you're on a phone or something like that, but the copper openly said that there was a pro-Palestinian march in the area. Well, I was watching, I think it was 4 streams all afternoon, right from the beginning, including some other streams from like media sources that were also showing some aerial shots. And there was no Palestinian protest or march anywhere near them. Dale, good evening. But so yeah, we know they lie, but you catch them out. What can you do about it? And as I said in today's video, which Blitzer, good evening.
Good to hear none of the injuries are life-threatening.
Yeah, I saw that Blitzer where you put it on Discord, mate. Thank you for that information. Where was I? Oh, fuck me. I've lost myself already. Yeah, when the hassle started. Now, apparently there was 6 arrests. Scar, good evening. 5 of them were outside one pub. One has been charged with drunken, disorderly, and assaulting an emergency worker. Well, apparently he was drunk, and while he was being arrested, he had a go at the police, obviously. But from what I saw, now, all of them people there yesterday, if they were wised up to what's been going on, would have known that the police were only there to provoke an incident for publicity purposes, because they know it would be being filmed, and all they want to do is tar everybody that supports this country as a far right wing. So as we know, they provoke the situations. Unfortunately, I am going to say, and I said in the video that some people might not agree with me, I'm not defending the police in any way, shape or form. Good evening, Tony. But those that did go at the police when they were blocked up, because there was a few that's clear to see on many, many of the streams, they were the ones that started. The police pushed and provoked, but once someone had flown at them like they started, then calling them out, then that's when it goes off. We know there's agitators in all these events. Many of them are paid, and some of them are even the police themselves. We've seen that before. And there was a few yesterday that were pointed out in amongst the patriots and the people attending that were undercover police. They were pointed out. People have had dealings with them before and recognised them. Yes, Stuart, the TSG were open as opposed to the other lot on Saturday, but they don't do that sort of thing with them. You know, you look at the amount of police that are around with the helmets and the gear yesterday. Usually they're just hiding around in the background at the pro-Palestinian marches, simply because they're shit scared of them, and it's orders from Khan. You know, we're branded right wing, far right wing, and he doesn't want right wing in London. You know. Yeah, the Wally squad. But yeah, as Blitzer put in there, the incident in Wales today, it was a teacher that got stabbed. I don't quite know the rest of the details, but there was some other injuries apparently. I think it was 3. But yeah, it's not good. And it was obviously during school time, which is very suspect. Yeah, Scar, I mean, they were... Check. Do you want to do that on Paps, babe? Discord. Yeah, yes, Ollie, I know that. I know that one. And then we've got the the incident today with the horses in London. They broke loose. From what I can gather, the white one that's been shown on the videos and on mainstream media, covered in blood. I believe that was the horse that was bleeding. Looking at the front of the bus that it jumped into, basically into the front windscreen in the corner of it, it totally smashed it in, and there was blood all around the front of the bus. So people were saying, oh, it's where it crashed into a human. I don't believe it. I don't believe it. So that's where all that blood come from. But yeah, someone's checking that out, Pat. Don't worry,
I
mate.
haven't got it. He's talking to Hollow.
Oh, were there any horses called gay? Well, there was one on the field called a bay. Evening, Nathan. How you doing, buddy? Trouble was brewing in the Welsh schools for weeks. I told the Rev a couple of weeks back. Yeah, I don't go on the Revs lives now, Blitzer. Yeah, I mean the Welsh Education Board or whatever they are, they've been pushing a lot of weird shit in the schools, far more than here, but nowhere near as bad as what they've been doing in Scotland. What else we got? Trouble? Yeah, it's been through that one. But yeah, I mean, I'm quite open. I don't particularly like Tommy Robinson. I do believe what he stands for, and I'm always going to give the guy respect for standing up to the authorities and the oppressors like he does. I will absolutely give him respect for that. But I don't believe that some of them speeches should have been given there yesterday, because it was supposed to be a day of celebration. Evening, Ninja. And not protest. The fact that the people were there flying the flags, that should have been protest enough. There was no need for the speeches like that, as far as I'm concerned. I haven't looked at the other major cities around the country, but I think there wasn't half the amount of hassle that there was in London. Obviously, we know that was down to the police. Yes, I'm not taking it away from him, from what he does, mate. As I say, absolute full respect to him on that score. But you know what it's like. You don't have to like somebody to respect what they do or what they say. You know? Yeah, well, they will, Blitzer. Of course they will. You know, they don't take any notice, and apparently you moan to a lot of them anyway, that I know of. Maybe that's why a lot of the local radio stations won't entertain your calls anymore, to be honest. But there you go. You remembered some. What was that, Lost Souls? Oh, Daryl is Ninja's audits. Yes. Yes. The thing is, Hunter, it's like people say, you know, Rev for PM, Pat for PM, stuff like that. It does take a certain type of person to do that job. I will admit that. The thing is with Sunak, he's not listening to anybody else or listening to his advisors. He's doing what he wants to do. He's just a little Hitler. I remember you from a lot of radio stations, Blitzer, believe me. Michael, I would be absolutely lost in a job like that. You know, it's great coming up with ideas. Putting them into practice is another matter. You've got to think of the financial sides of that side and shit like that. Obviously, Sunak is supposed to know what he's doing, but I mean, his little spiel today, we're increasing the defence funding because we want to be on a war footing within the next 6 years. Well, one, he's already assuming that he's going to be in power in 6 years' time. And two, increasing our defence spending over that amount of time by simply announcing that, if anybody wanted to do anything, shall I say, they're going to do it inside the next 6 years, aren't they? Why what the fuck is this come up now? Driver 1 support.
Just dismiss it.
Ah, cuff. I don't use driver 1. Yeah, and the amount he's pledged to the Ukraine again. And as I said in the thumbnail for this tonight, how is he going to put defence in place for this fucking country? Yet he can't stop a fucking unarmed army coming in little rubber boats, you know? Rob, do we know why the horses went nuts? Yes, apparently it was some noise from a building site close by to where they were exercising. Or that's what's been reported anyway. That did come from mainstream media, but that wouldn't surprise me with the amount of work that's going on in London.
It's got to have been something like that to spook the
Tommy
horses.
would get all his funding from us in the UK. A bit like the PM now then, Hunter. Yeah, that little slimy bastard's running on our money, isn't he? Well, I say he's running on our money. He's running on money that the government have borrowed from the bank using our names, basically. That's how the government work. When they borrow money from the bank, they borrow it using public funds, which we put in to pay it back. So essentially, they're borrowing money and we have to pay it back.
Last we heard, Rob, all the horses were okay. They were being seen by a vet. The one that got hurt the most was the one that hit the bus. That was the white one with all the blood. But nobody's had to be put down.
That we've heard of. I mean, obviously, you could see in the videos that the thing was running around. Obviously, if it's running around, it's going to be pumping blood, isn't it? I mean, it did look like quite a lot. But as Heather said when we watched the video of it, you know, look how much a paper cut bleeds. Now, the amount of glass that was in that window and metal and plastic around the framework that was totally smashed. It looks like he'd tried to jump, or she had tried to jump through the front of it. I mean, the glass was smashed way up the windscreen. Oh, pardon me. There'll be conspiracy theorists somewhere screaming it was a symbolism of one of the royals being unalived or some shit. Good evening, Gary.
Yeah, I think it'll probably come out tomorrow to reassure everybody.
Right, I'm just going to pull my mat back a bit because it's getting on my chest.
I'll get on your knees.
Oh. Oh, there. I've got one of them rubber mats under the table to protect the carpet from the wheels on the chair. Unfortunately, it's designed to sit on a hard floor. So as I wheel my chair backwards and forwards, the fucking thing rolls up into a tube under the table, and
They
it really
creep.
gets on my tits when I'm moving my feet.
They creep on hard floors as well. So
Yeah.
evening, Gary.
King Harry and Queen Meghan. Not a chance, Blitzer. Not a chance, mate. Even the Americans are getting fed up of them now, and they're not wanted back here. Yeah. No, you're not delusional at all, Holly. Far from it. I mean, you think of some of the shit that comes out of me when I start thinking about things. I mean, you think about this one they're going on about now about the chemtrails, spraying from the aircraft. Now, I've never really bought into that. One, because I was brought up through most of my youth right next to an airfield. Used to seeing jets. I know about aviation. I know exactly how the condensation trails work from jet engines. But I was out the other morning, early, clear blue skies, and there was a lot of trails in the sky. Now, I did start recording, but what I'd actually pressed was the photo button, because what I could actually see was two aircrafts. One had what I would consider a contrail that was disappearing. Yes, exactly, Holly. I was just going to say that. One of them, literally, at that height you can't tell, but it was a very short chemtrail, and it was a contrail, and it was disappearing very, very quickly within seconds after the aircraft passed. The other one that was flying alongside it was a continuous trail, and I followed it all the way across the sky. Now, I did do a couple of videos at some point. I must get them off my phone. I did some out the front and some out the back for about 5 minutes. And then I went back and filmed another few minutes. And the chemtrails or contrails, whichever way you want to take it, was still there, and they were expanding. And I mean, they were expanding right across the sky. Usually a contrail stays pretty thin until it disappears. But this lot weren't. But we know, as Rod's put there, the geoengineering is real. The government in Dubai admitted that. They said they were seeding on the Sunday before the big storm out there. From the day before, but others had proved that they were seeding from the Sunday, I think it was. So it's wide open. There's evidence both ways. Yes, sure. We're under the flight path of Birmingham Airport here. Some of them are that low when they're coming into land. If with my telephoto lens, I can more or less see the people through the fucking windows on a good clear day. But when I'd filmed that the other morning, within 2 hours, the sky was just covered in clouds, and it just was a beautiful day. A couple of hours before that, there wasn't a cloud in the sky up there. There is, I can't remember who put it on Facebook now. Someone put up a flight map from the beacons in the aircraft that they have, where you can track them. And you can actually see the aircraft doing grids. across Cornwall and Devon. Now, I sent a message to a friend of mine down in Cornwall, and they said absolutely. First thing in the morning, clear blue skies. Once these trails had started appearing, then all of a sudden it started to cloud up. No worries, Stitch. Transponders, sorry, Gay. Yeah, that's the one I was looking for. I should have known because we had one on the boat. That's how we track the boats in the English Channel. Yes, Stitch, they are. There wasn't many this morning because there was clouds up there already. I was hoping to catch some early this morning, but sadly, no. Yeah, it is gridding. You can absolutely see it. We know the flight paths of the planes that come across here. The ones from other airports don't usually come across here, obviously, because we've got 2 airports. And there's one at Coventry as well. You know, it's one of them things that unless we get a good whistleblower come out and say something, we're just relying on what we know and what we research. We know they were doing it back in the 50s and 60s. They were doing it over Vietnam with other stuff. Very nasty stuff. Yeah, it does. You could play bloody noughts and crosses up there. Yeah, that's about the right time, Stuart. I mean, I'm usually up about 4:30, and I always look out when I get up. I get, my first breath of fresh air. I go outside to get it in the mornings. Yeah, because there wasn't many flights. Exactly. Oh, the Coventry one is now closed, is it? Fair enough. But we've got airbase. Yeah, well, that's what I had back home years ago. I mean, I literally lived within half a mile of the end of the runway of RAF Abingdon. We had RAF Benson. What's the other? The American one. High, whatever. We used to go bowling there. Lynham. There was loads of them in that area. Good evening, Patrick. How are you, mate?
Yeah, I think Birmingham International is 24-hour as well.
Yeah, because we do have flights at night, don't we? They're reduced. There's nowhere near as many, but yeah, they are training Ukrainian pilots over here, Jen. And army personnel as well, because they're giving the bastards free fags while they're trying to ban them in this country for us to smoke. But they're giving them free ones while they're here training, which I find very annoying. Yeah, we don't do any of that shit, Nathan. We don't do Siri or what's the other one? What's the other one called? Alexa. I was going to shout, Alexa, turn skull lamp on then, but it's no good because Dan's not at home, is he? Holly will get that joke. I need an F-35. Do you know what, Gary? They're an amazing piece of kit. We've actually got a friend. I knew he was working in the aerospace industry, but it was only a week ago or so that he actually told me what he was doing. Now, at the back of the F-35, you've got the directional thrust, vectoring, as they call it, the swiveling outlet. And he actually services and repairs those for the RAF and other air forces. That is his job, which is quite interesting. He obviously couldn't tell me too much about them. They've all under the Official Secrets Act, but he could tell me what he does. I mean, my favourite one is the F-15. I always said that was an amazing aircraft.
Yes, Resist, he's fine. He's absolutely fine. He's got toothache today, but he's fine.
Yeah, he's got raging toothache. I told him his teeth are fine, his gums need to come out. Yeah, they do, Jen. They get all sorts of packages while they're here. They are restricted where they can go, mind. But yes, they do get free travel, passes, theatres, cinemas, and stuff like that, I believe. Also, I've been told. The warthog is an amazing thing. We saw some down in Wales years ago. There's an island about 4.5 mile offshore, or there was down in Wales, and you could hear them coming in, and you could hear the brrr as they were strafing. You could actually see the island erupting as they were hitting them. But there's a new version of that out now as well. Basically, all they did was took the GAU-8 and strapped a fucking plane to it. It's a hell of a tool. Yeah, I used to have a big remote control model I made of the F-15 Gary. It was about 3.5 foot long. A foamed one with, again, ducted fans and everything in it. And it was an amazing bit of kit. It was probably one of the only ones I didn't crash because it was so easy to fly. Hi, Box. Good evening, buddy. No need to be sorry, mate. Yes, Rob. They're an incredible piece of kit. They really are. I mean, why our lot didn't adopt them, I don't know. Maybe because the Americans have got so many of them, I suppose. Well, I've seen some seen on a Concorde. That don't make sense, Gary. I've seen a Concorde on YouTube. Yeah, I was at Farnborough as a very young kid, watching the display of Concorde before it actually went into service, believe it or not. Because it frightened the absolute shit out of me with the noise, and I hid in my dad's coat. He was holding me.
Oh.
Spencer, good evening, mate. Oh, you meant RC? Yeah. There's some real nice Concorde RC models out there, and some bloody big ones as well. And the thing I like about the big expensive ones like that is they do actually run real jet engines, but they do cost into the tens of thousands of pounds, some of them. But Concorde actually, it still killed somebody. Oh, it's not so long back now. The static one, they got it filtered. A guy during a tour fell between the gap between the door and the steps coming down and was killed. Yeah, some of them, Gary, the actual bigger, proper built fiberglass ones, or carbon, most of them are now. You can be looking at 30 grand for one of those. That's why most people build their own. Yeah, the flying moth. Everybody thinks the howl comes from the back of the engine when they throttle up. It doesn't on the Vulcan. The howl from the motors is actually the air rushing in because of the shape of the venturi on the intakes. Not a lot of people know that. They've been Concorde short. One, they used the excuse it wasn't financially viable anymore. But the main one was after the crash in France. The one that caught fire taking off. I didn't actually have a problem with it. It was a French jet and it was full of Germans. Whoops, sorry, I shouldn't say that, should I? I didn't have a problem with it. Who was that put in there? Hope Pam and Rev were okay. Yeah, Blitzer, Pap's looking after his mum and dad at the moment. So he will be putting out 1 or 2 videos. He's got a laptop. But obviously, his mum wasn't very well. She had an operation. He said about it on the live the other Sunday. As for the Rev, I did question today that he hasn't put a video up. But I believe, if I remember rightly, he was actually taking part of his bike test today, as he's been doing the compulsory training. And I believe he had the first part of the test today, if I remember right. I can't be 100%, but not with the way my memory works, but I remember him saying something about the other day. He was retaking his... Was it retaking? No, he'd already passed the theory one, I think. It was the actual practical one he was doing, the first part of that today, if I remember right what he was saying. But we never had to go for any of that back in the day. You just done your circle in the block a couple of times one way and then back the other. Some twat would jump out in front of you to make you do the emergency stop, and that was it. Rip your L plates off and get on with it. But that was back in the day when you could actually ride a 250 on a provisional. Evening, Gary. I did get a bit of a bollocking from him because the police pulled me up probably only about 2 miles from the test centre after I passed. And because as I pulled away from the test, the first thing I did was rip me L plates off and then pulled about 100-yard wheelie. And apparently the tester that had just handed me my ticket reported me to the police. The police thought it was amusing. They did give me a bollocking, but they didn't give me any points or fines. But I did the same in my car test. I went the wrong way at a junction because I followed his instructions, but they weren't clear enough, and I carried on at the road that I was on because he said follow the road ahead. But the lane I was in actually went off to the left, so I followed his instructions. And I turned round in a pub car park and went back and then went on the route he wanted. But he did admit that, yeah, okay, that was partly his fault. But he said, you didn't make any mistake with the way you corrected it. He said, you've done everything perfectly. The way you turned round, looking for a safe space to do it. So he couldn't knock me on that. He said, you've got that amount of confidence. He said, I don't think I could have failed you anyway. I said, well, I've been racing bloody cars since I was, 13 or something like that. So I'd been doing a lot of driving beforehand. Now, do you know what, Stuart? You're saying that about the bike license. I couldn't figure out what was going on because when you get to a certain age now, well, I believe it's for everybody, you have to renew your license every, I think, is it 10 year? You have to update your photo and what have you.
I think.
And they charge you for the fucking privilege as well, the tight bastards. But I noticed when I got mine back last time, my bike entitlement on it had been removed. And after looking into it, apparently, if you haven't owned or ridden a motorcycle for a certain number of years, they remove that entitlement to ride one. You can have it reinstated, but you must have your original pass certificate, which obviously I haven't got, but I passed mine many, many moons ago. So I'd have to go through all the compulsory training again. And I believe that's why they done it, is those that want to return to biking, like a lot of other older people are doing now, they want them to do the compulsory training rather than just jumping straight back on a bike. So I think it's if you haven't ridden for 20 years or insured one for 20 years or something like that, they actually remove your entitlement.
Hi, Paul. Thank you again.
Hi, Paul. Good evening, buddy. Oh, you seen the video as well, over Stuart? Yeah, I mean, I did actually research it. I saw the video afterwards. There was a couple of videos on YouTube about it. I didn't even realise it was going on. But unfortunately, for a lot of the younger ones that have to take these extra tests now for caravans and 7.5 tonners and stuff like that, I don't have to because that entitlement is still on there. So I don't have to do the extra tests for towing big trailers, towing caravans. I can drive an articulated lorry up to a certain weight with a trailer, not Arctics, obviously. And I can drive up to, I think it was 7.5 tons still on my license.
Yes, so can I, which is a dangerous thought.
I'm not saying a word on that. I did mine around Chibs. Yeah, I did mine in Oxford, Gary. I did have a class 2 for when we had the landscaping company years ago. But I let it lapse by a day and they wouldn't renew it, unfortunately. I'd have to take the test again, and being as I didn't need it at the time, I thought, why the fucking hell bother? Jay, good evening. Jay, you might well have done, mate. Granddad's rights, yeah, literally. YouTube have been doing that. This is why I always say, check that you're still subscribed regular to get alerts from the videos if they can bother sending them out. If you don't get alerts, then again, it's because YouTube are fucking me around. I looked at the analytics today. I don't very often look at them because I don't worry about the numbers. You know, I do this one for my friends to keep them up to date on shit. And I do it because it gives me something to do as well. And the analytics don't match up with what they actually show up on the screen in the channel. Far from it. Now, apparently in the last 28 days, my views have gone up by 3.4K?
Yeah, I can't remember but yes, I'm on Grandma's rights.
I don't even get that amount of fucking views, so how could it have gone up by that? Yeah, this is what I mean, Jen. I mean, I'll probably get an email alert sometime through this evening to say I've gone live.
I think I got one. Swiped it.
I'll tell you what, Gary, she's not a bad driver, to be honest, mate. She's not a bad driver at all. She's been driving for a lot of years. The only accident that she's had since I've known her wasn't her fault. And sadly, it wrote off a drop-top Ford, which she was very upset about because it's something she'd always wanted. Some nice nurse cut across in front of her in traffic. And
She
literally,
wasn't even a nurse. She was a fucking admin.
well, she worked at the
Paper
hospital.
shuffler.
Of a certain minority persuasion, I might add. But looking at the state of her car, they probably wrote hers off as well.
Should have been written off with the other accident she'd had.
Yeah, yeah, it already had an accident because it had different coloured bonnet, bumpers, and 2 front wings. So she'd had one before.
My baby's died.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I always said it was a bit of a hairdresser's car, but it's what she always wanted. We got it for an absolute song at the right time of year. Actually got it for just around half price that was on the screen because nobody wanted a drop top in the winter.
Except me.
Except us. I thought, well, yeah.
The kids loved it. 10 degrees, January, top down.
Yeah, I hated it. the wind.
Josh wanted me to give it to him when he
the wind used to slap the seatbelts around that much. If you went above 40 mile an hour, it used to slap you to death upside the fucking ear. And I always found cabriolets were, I like what we call a tight car. I like a solid car. And they just seem too flexible because they're nowhere near as strong as a saloon. We've been driving since I was... I thought that said 51 then. It's 50 I used to get. Yeah. You said, well, I'll tell you what on that, Rob. Now, when I was very young, my dad worked at the MG car factory in Abingdon. We actually lived probably 50 yards from the back gate of the MG car factory. I think I was about 4, he said, when I did this. Now, you had the houses on one side of the road. Across the other side of the road was a big stone wall and then one of the big local cemeteries. Now, we used to have an old Austin stood in the front garden. And I couldn't understand how it was there because the garden was fenced. But apparently my dad parked it up there. Didn't bother using it because he didn't need it because he could walk to the work. And he bought me a big bunch of keys home from the MG factory. And I mean a big chain with loads and loads of keys on. And I managed to find one that fitted the ignition in this thing because I used to sit in it and play in it. And the next thing he knew, I'd started this thing up. It had gone through the fence across the road and dismantled itself against the wall. That was my first ever driving experience that I've been told happened. I personally can't remember it. But yeah, started this thing up. It must have been in gear or something. And I was off down the garden, through the fence and into the cemetery wall. Yes, they do now, Gary. And that was the thing with the grade 2. That's what I missed. I should have had it done and I didn't. So obviously the license was removed, and if I wanted to get it back, I'd have to retake the test then, the class 2 test again. So at the time I was working in factories by then. So hello, bloody chat disappeared then. Come back. I didn't bother retaking the test. Paying for it over again. Nah, I wasn't having it. And I wouldn't pass it medically now anyway.
Plus, you didn't need it. You weren't using it.
No. Since then, yeah, I've hired a few 7.5 tonners in my time. One in particular because I was the only one on the company that was willing to take on driving something like that or had experience in driving lorries. So, yeah, I spent 2 or 3 weeks trundling up and down the country in one. But it's handy if you want to move something big, You know, you ain't got to go trolling around for somebody with a license. I used to go and do it. So, plus I used to tow caravans, so I used to go caravanning. Used to get some very strange looks driving a 7.5 litre Pontiac with a caravan on the back, but there you go. Right, let's we've been going nearly an hour now. So as per usual, I'm waffling away and forgot. Oh, nearly pasted an emoji then. That would have been very much good for people. Right, there we go. Just in case anybody wants to drop in, I will have to verify you in the back room, obviously. I do prefer people to leave their cameras on, simply because I like to see who I'm talking to. What else we got going on in here? Of course, Paul. Yeah, you were a truck driver, weren't you? I mean, I quite honestly don't know how Rev puts up with it, especially with what I call the muck trucks that he drives. And he has had to drive some right fucking wrecks. He's admitted that as himself, that some of the wagons he uses are well past it. But I think he's learning about owning a twin-turbo BMW. He's had to have several things fixed on his new car already. Good evening, Paulette. Welcome, my dear. Yeah, one of his sensors went a bit doo-dally and the car accelerated on its own. Yeah, I've heard of that before with the sensors. Tipper drivers of the BMW Audi drivers of the world. Nice one, Gary. But yeah, there's you know, years ago there was good wages to be had in the trucking world. As the Rev says now, that they just abuse you. The foreign drivers took over a lot of trips. Heather's daughter's new husband, he doesn't drive it, but he does travel to the continent regularly. In fact, he's over there for, what is it, 3 weeks this time?
It's back on the 3rd.
3rd of May. They do deliveries over there, removals and all sorts.
Usually house.
And he said it's diabolical on the roads over there. Plus, you've got the hassle of the channel paddlers trying to get a dry trip over by sneaking in the back of them. Lucky enough, they usually had 2 or 3 lads with them, and they check the trucks themselves as well.
Well, a lot of the times, once they load up to come back at the house or whatever, then they put a seal on the wagon.
Yeah, but if I don't, is he
had some underneath.
Yeah, they hang on the chassis.
Yeah, they found some underneath the one trip back because they always check before they.
But talking about the channel paddlers, look at what happened yesterday. Now, it's from what I can understand, I was changing my plugs on this Capri, got these wrong way around. Across the road by the post. Yeah, from what I understand, they launched a boat. A load of guys apparently attacked the occupants of the boat as they were launching and got on the boat themselves. They hit a sandbank because they were saying it was overloaded. Well, very rarely will them inflatables go onto a sandbank. It has to be very, very shallow. And the mother and child fell out were drowned. But they're investigating now. Why our people are investigating as well, I don't know. But apparently there was 3 more drowned out in the channel. Now, at the moment, what's suspected is that they were causing an argument with these guys who had fought their way onto the boat, who hadn't paid, and they sorted them out and threw them over the side. Whether that's right or wrong, I don't know. I haven't had or seen any confirmation at all. I did fire off a couple of emails trying to find out for official reports and stuff like that. And obviously, it's an ongoing investigation. So nobody was actually given information out. It was declined. Gary, we've known about that for years, mate. Several years ago, when Tracy was filming down in Dover on a daily basis, I was actually monitoring the live shipping in the channel, so on radar, so I could pass the information on to them when they were meeting up in the middle. You can actually see the transponder. Nothing's more than 3 minutes old. You can get the name of the boat, you can get the course, you can get the speed, and you can actually click on it and get a picture of that boat up. And I used to watch the French Navy vessels. What was one of them had a real weird name. They used to hang around about 3-4 mile off the beaches. You could see the speed they were doing. Usually it was around 15 knots. But then all of a sudden they'd start heading out into the channel and they'd slow down to about 5 knots, which meant they were escorting dinghies at that speed, so that you could see them escort them to the middle, where you'd see the border force coming out at full pelt. They were a bit quicker than the French Navy. They used to travel about 17 to 20 knots. And then all of a sudden, they would be going back at the same speed, but you'd see the bigger ribs from border force going out at top speed and then coming back at around 8 knots. And that was because they were towing the dinghies empty, literally because they couldn't puncture them and sink them in the channel or leave them out there because they were a hazard to other shipping. But this has been going on. I cottoned on to it during lockdown. And in fact, I got I got blocked on one of the radar sites because they found out that I was giving live reports back to the people that were filming them being landed, which didn't bother me too much because Mrs. W just went in and found another site that had the live shipping radars. So I just dialed into those sites so I could carry on giving my usual reports. And that was a daily thing.
And when they locked you out on your computer, you had my laptop open.
Yeah, they actually locked me out using my IP address, not my IP address, the actual computer through Google to block me from them. So I was still allowed on the live, so I could still comment, chat to people. So what I did was I had Mrs. W's laptop by the side of me on the table with this other site with the live shipping on. Yeah, there's ways around everything.
Where there's a Mrs. W, there's a way.
Where there's a Mrs. W, there's a way, exactly.
Who needs a will?
But, word got around how I was doing it, so other people started doing it now. I did have a look yesterday. You could see all the search vessels out there. There was more than usual hovering around, going up and down. They were obviously looking for bodies, whatever. But yeah, you could actually see them meeting up, and you got to know how long it would be once they'd met up before they'd land at Dover. And then you'd see the French boats going back to cruising up and down off the French beaches, waiting for the next lot. But that again shoots down Roland's fucking idea with this Rwanda shit. Now, he said that's going to be a big deterrent to stop them. As I've said in the video, no, it won't. Because there's that many of them coming over. They're going to know the same information we do. Because don't forget, they're all over the internet on their phones over there in France. And Rwanda have actually admitted they've only got places for 200. So their odds of getting to stay in this country are well stacked in their favour. He came out with the bullshit about the flights were booked, this, that, and the other. I don't believe a fucking word of it, because at my last looking and checking around, most airlines were refusing to get involved and fly them, as were the pilots. Now, he reckons they've got airlines on board and they've actually got flights booked. But you get an average 400 coming a day when the weather's good. There haven't been so many lately because the channel's been quite rough. It was today, so there wasn't any crossings. But with the numbers they've got coming across, the Rwanda deal isn't going to do a goddamn thing. Even if they do break the law and keep going. As far as I know, Gary, Ryanair were one of the ones that refused. The only way that I can surmise if they've got any airlines on board is they're giving them a huge amount of money to do it. It teach me to fly, Jay. I'll drop them off halfway, mate. That solves every fucker's problem. But most of the general public out there don't realise that the Rwanda plan is, in a way, it's an exchange deal. It's not just deporting them. Part of the deal is that the extremely sick people that need big medical operations, need looking after, Rwanda will fly to us. They will be coming back on the return flights. So it was something like for every 2 or 3 that we send over, we get one of theirs back. So it's still going to cost us, because obviously someone that needs medical attention, they're going to be allowed to have their family with them. So they'll bring them over. So really all it is an exchange program. I've known this right from the beginning because I looked through the original agreement, and that part of it hasn't been amended. But the way he put out in that statement the other day, basically it looks like he's just going to ignore the court orders. He's going to ignore the laws that are in place, and he just wants to plough on with it. But personally, I don't think it will get off the ground. Yeah, exactly, Stuart. Exactly. One person you can put in a camp or a room. You get a family, they're going to need a house, and they. And being as we've already got a housing crisis in this country because of the way they've been doing everything, not just with the immigrants, with their cost of living and that. Yeah. And the thing is that they said they're earmarking several thousand to be removed. Well, that's bullshit if they can only send 200. And 2, are they keeping them in a secure camp? Because once they know they're going to be leaving, they're not going to hang around, are they? If they're allowed out in public, they're going to fuck off. They're not going to stay there to get deported. Unless it's one of those that want to leave, that have asked to leave and they've been told they can't, believe it or not. There's been some of them. Well, that's the other thing, Jay. He said they've secured, to get the court cases through, to let them go, they've they've identified 25 courts that they can use. God knows how many hundred lawyers and judges. Now, our court system is backed up to fuck. They can't even get proper criminals in the courts to see the cases because they're backed up. and they're going to take 150 fucking lawyers away from the courts and what was it, 35 judges? Ain't happening. It's all bullshit. And that's why he wouldn't give any more details. He said it's because, people will get to know what we're doing. Well, we should know what they're fucking doing. We're paying for it. And the reason they're doing it is because they don't want us all over social media blabbing about it. But again, personally, I think it's bullshit and he's got nothing. He's got absolutely nothing. Yeah, Stuart, they're starting to buy a few more up here as well. They're even sending letters out to people that have been through the right to buy.
You're back.
I recognise that ugly mug. Evening, Paul.
Sorry, I tried to jump on there a minute ago, and next time my StreamYard wasn't working. So it just took me a wee minute there to jump on with
No worries, mate. Well, you got a good signal there today, so it's nice and clear.
2 minutes, give it 2 minutes.
All crossed.
There. As you see, there's young Darrell then.
What's
Are we
happening?
changing?
Right, Daryl. As Stuart said, he's over your direction. The councils here are doing exactly the same, Stuart. Exactly the same, mate. What they're also doing is a lot of these mortgage holders that are being forced to sell because they can't afford the mortgages. They know they're going to take a much lower offer on the property to move it on before they get further into debt. And they're buying those up as well.
But that's a brilliant way of sorting out a housing problem. If they buy back old council houses that come up for sale, it puts them back into the council for tenants.
Yeah, and they're putting the bloody immigrants in them. That's why we're against it. They're not giving them to normal English people. They're giving them to the fucking immigrants. That's why they're buying them back, because they get the money from the government. That's why they're doing it. But apparently there is another camp opening up somewhere. I haven't quite heard where. There's one being constructed, I think it's Cardiff, down in Wales. Lots of like little pods and things. And the building work, although the council have told them to stop, is still going on at Scampton. So you make your own mind up what they're doing. I just pass on the information that I get. So lost souls. Now, Holly, they're good lads. Come on, what's up with you? See,
Sorry.
he's looking at the chat. Paul, he is.
I hope Gary got that transit took away from the back of his house, the one I left there the other night.
For those that are interested, Pap's okay. He hasn't dropped in tonight. He has got a laptop with him, but he hasn't got Wi-Fi at his mum's and dad's. So he has to use his portable one, and it's not normally good enough for streaming. So, but he is suffering from quite a toothache, apparently.
Needs to get him down to himself to Weatherspoons. They do free Wi-Fi.
Yeah, I can sit outside Weatherspoons.
Roger.
Yes, mate.
Sorry for jumping in there.
That's all right.
I will give you one. You see, whenever this little bugger went down whenever he was a kid, staying down at my mother's house, she was looking after him for a day.
I done nothing wrong.
I can't remember what age, but 6, maybe around about 5, 6 years old. Him and my new friend decided to go into McDonald's with water pistols and shout, "This is a stick up," and decided to soak everybody with water pistols.
I actually got a water pistol taken off of me at the airport going on holiday to Ireland. Funny enough.
What had
Got
coming over
stopped.
here?
You know, apparently, I think I was about 12, and one of my uncles had bought me a water pistol, but it was a full-size replica of a 1911 Colt, a 45. And they said, "Well, look, you can't take it with you." So I said, "All right, I'll get rid of it. Like I'll throw it away." And apparently, I caused a bit of a scare in the airport because I just threw it in the top of one of the bins, and somebody saw it in the bin. The next thing, the security and police all round this fucking bin for this water pistol.
Oh, for fuck's sake! It's
Right. Oh, things like that's fucking priceless, man. Here,
But-
you were talking about SGVs earlier.
Yeah,
Sorry, Roger. Sorry, go ahead there.
no, it's all right. Carry on, mate.
No, you were talking about SGVs earlier, Motor, and I'll be honest with you. See, after 34 years at it, I've done 4 years out in France, the whole lot, and I see car drivers, Motor, that don't show respect whatsoever to
Yeah.
a lorry. I've had cars coming up out the M1 around Milton Keynes, sitting there for 6 or 7 miles, holding me in. They're going up behind a small van that was doing 50 mile an hour. Things like that there, Motor. People just cutting you up, just come off a slip road. And you're like pulling 44-ton, man. The braking distance of that rig. Now, I've helped that. I've saved a lot of people's lives. There's one time driving up towards Letterkenny, County Donegal there. Big enough straight. There's a left-hand bend in front of me. And there was a car just come around the bend, straight on into a field. She landed on the roof. Next car, there's another one around the bend. It landed in the same field, just a bit further up on the wheels. I got out anyway, done what I could to help, but the Garda Síochána, the Irish police, I said, it must be a diesel spill up there or something. Now, bear in mind, I wasn't even up that far. It says, so you spilled the diesel. Oh, really?
If people watch some of these videos, the damage that a lorry can do to a car when it hits it, they would keep as far away from trucks as they can. You know the stopping distance with the trucks, it's way longer than a car, especially if you're a 40-tonner loaded up. You ain't going to stop like a little car. And these idiots that pull in front of them and brake check them, well, I'm sorry, they deserve everything they fucking get. You know?
Stuart B, I'm 55 this year in June.
Smarty's got Wi-Fi. So I you know what I'm like. I get chatting and I forget to look at what people are saying in the chat. I get used to rabbiting on.
Daryl's sitting reading the comments here. And he's just pointing some out to me there. But man, I've done first time ever in lorries. I just wanted to go out and see what England was like, and that was before I got the test and enjoyed it. Used to look at it years ago. I got paid for sailing around the country doing something I enjoy doing. But you know what? The goodness is taken out of lorries. Minimum wage come in. And like, you look at all the shit what you need behind you to drive a lorry. Your CPCs. I've done my HAZCAM, the whole lot, tankers years ago. I've done anti-terrorism, anti-hijacking. I held a Class B air cargo with handling license. Now I've done it all, and considering what I had learned difficulties with reading, and I still achieved everything, all my targets, motorbike license. Yeah, you name it. Even when I was a kid, I never thought anything stopped me. I was in the corporal and army cadets, first class marksman, big into my survival, the whole lot, man. And but people don't understand. They see whenever you're on a lorry, you're maybe on the road, you're taking in all these fantastic sceneries, which you don't see because you're constantly concentrating on the road. Now, okay, you can sit there with an OCB, bit of a gab, sit there on the phone for a few hours, gab away, still doing everything right and out there. You know yourself there in England.
I
Them,
always
them
found
car parks. And
um,
that's all them motorways are over there is frigging car parks.
yeah. I mean, I always found with the smaller one, the little single axle one that we used to have, because I was only running around locally, it wasn't too bad. But on the 7.5 tonners, when I was doing sort of longer hauls, I had to find something to keep my brain going, as it were. Like you say, the CB, the radio, and you've got to be so much aware of what's going on. Beardy, good evening, Mike. Yeah, I used to enjoy it, but you know, I was one of these that Yorkies were made for men. They're not a girl's chocolate.
Sure. I didn't see 85 motor. He wasn't born until about the 90s, so it was
93.
93, so it would have been maybe about 98, 99. That's whenever he went into McDonald's and did that. It wasn't me.
Yeah, I was going to say Stuart's got the wrong
The only,
end of the stick.
the only firearms I've ever had in my hands was not real ones, but that's beside the point. It's not an Arnhem after all.
Yeah, I, you know, as I said before, I did a lot of training, including weapons training, because I couldn't join the army, so I used to pay for my training. Over here, yes, it all had to be done on legal ranges and stuff like that, where you pay, go in, they train you up in them. But there was one or two that, let's say, you weren't allowed to fire in this country, so I had to go abroad to learn how to fire them.
Mm-hmm.
I since found out that after we went to the gun show a couple of years ago at the NEC, and I was chatting to a guy there because I wanted my picture taken with a Barrett, a 50 cal. I won't show it on here because obviously we're not allowed to show them on here. Can get into a lot of trouble. And we were just chatting to him about it, and he said, "Oh, you sound like a West Country lad." I said, "Well, yeah, but I wasn't born there, but yeah, I spent a lot of years down there." And he said, "Well, we're only in Somerset." He said, "If you ever pass in," he said, "we're just off the motorway on the coast." He said, "Drop into the range." He said, "We'll let you have a couple of rounds with one." I'm like, "What, a 50 cal?" He's, "Yeah."
He said your daughter could have a go as well.
Yeah, because he said, "Oh, your daughter can have a go as well." And I declined because with the state of my shoulder, because this was after I destroyed my shoulder, I said the 50 cal, I'd never be able to hold it. I said it would break my shoulder up, which it would. I said, but the missus would love to. And he said, well, we've got, I think it was 3 weeks they had to wait for their application to go through. It was all going through. It had been approved. But you've got to have an 8-mile overshoot on the range before you're allowed to use them in this country.
Believe that.
And apparently there's only, I think he said 2 public accessible ranges in this country where you can actually shoot the things.
Do you remember the old 303s with a brass butt?
The Enfield.
12 years old, very first time I ever shot one of them. Oh, Jesus, man, I thought my arm was completely busted.
Well, a lot of my mates were out in the Falklands originally. And obviously there was a lot of SLRs, the old FN Mach 1s and that Mark 1s that the Argentinians had as well. Now, the Argentinian ones had a bit of an issue. They used to jump onto automatic on their own. And they proved this at Salisbury. They did a demonstration with one. And this thing went off on its own. And the guy's just thrown it in the runaway bunker and shut the lid down. And you could hear this thing going off in the fucking bunker.
Man, I was a kid, like as I said, in Army Cadets at the range over in Ballykinler. That the traces of the SLRs just wasn't on past you, like.
Well, a lot of the old guys that are still serving, they said they prefer them to the SA-80. I mean, the SA-80, don't get me wrong, it is a good weapon, and it's designed for a certain type of warfare because it's small, it's compact, it's maneuverable. But if you want that extra distance and that extra bit of power, then yeah.
There's something I actually think about, Roger. Maybe a good topic to bring up sometime. Just a few weeks ago, it's just something popped in my head. I'm a lot more older now, and a lot more things come into the mind. And you see from wherever you sit back and think about it, even from nursery school, man, with the rhymes and nursery rhymes, they teach you war, soldiering, from the Grand Old Duke of York.
Yep.
From
10,000 marched up the hill.
They show you things about history, but there's more history on bloody wars and battles than what there is of true history.
Yeah. Well, it is a surprising one. You're talking about nursery rhymes. Ring a Roses.
Mm-hmm.
You know where that was from?
Go ahead.
The Black Death. The plague.
Yes, that makes sense.
That's where that nursery rhyme was born, because it was supposed to be talking about the plague, the Black Death. Sneezing, everybody falls down.
Like, there's nursery stories that are even Rapunzel, right? Let down your hair, and then she's kept captive on the tower, and her hair's cut off. Rumpelstiltskin, he steals kids.
Yeah. Pied Piper.
Yep. Another one, man. It's just sorry for swinging the topic here. Yep. You see, whenever I sat down.
There you go. Jay's put in the chat there. Poses, keep it away. There, exactly.
No, it was the flowers that hid the smell of the death.
Yeah, you couldn't smell the death. The flowers.
You may as well say, Mary had a little lamb. Her father shot it dead. Now she goes to school with it between two cups of bread.
Yeah.
Really? You may as well just put the nursery rhymes through bells they bloody are.
Today's version is Mary had a little lamb and it was abused by her neighbour. You know, that's another nursery rhyme.
Hickory dickory dock, the wee mouse run up the clock. When he came down, his hole was brown, and so was the cuckoo's. Don't be vulgar.
There is reasons in history for a lot of the nursery rhymes that were the old ones. You know, even Humpty Dumpty.
And that's what I was actually saying to Nathan the other night. Nathan couldn't actually remember it was you about Humpty Dumpty. All the king's horses, all the king's men
broke his crown to bring him down.
Mm-hmm. That sounded a bit right.
Yep. You know, when you look back through history of stuff like that, Beardy's just put in there the old Duke of York had £12 million. He paid it to an American girl. Now he's on with the crowd.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Like that. That's true. That is true. Wasn't it? Aye,
nice one, Beardy.
Nice about judges. Yes. Very good.
Yep. It's amazing. And the thing is, we used to learn this years ago. It was part of history lessons when I was at school. They don't teach the kids shit like that now. Well, they don't teach them history, but they teach them how to do away with it.
I don't even know where schools still teach RE or not. I hear like RE was always in every school.
Well, we used to have it religious education, and
I don't know what way England's went like.
Yeah, we had RE. It was part of the curriculum, but it also included, believe it or not, sex lessons. Not practical, but they taught you about the birds and bees in the RE lessons. But because I was never into religion, I didn't want it, I weren't interested in it. I said, look, I'm not interested. I said, if I sit in here and I've got to sit here for an hour's lesson a couple of times a week, I'm just going to disrupt the class because I'm just going to fuck about. So they used to make me stand outside the classroom.
Him and his brother.
I got kicked out at my RE as well.
Well, I don't often take the piss out of religion in public, but I can remember one that I used to say to him, to the old master at the school. He always used to come up with, don't forget, Whittington, Jesus died for your sins. I said, no, he fucking didn't. He said, he died for everybody's sins. I said, he never had enough fucking pain to die for mine, mate.
Really, they talk about religion here. It's all a biggest pile of shit. I'm just coming to the point, actually finally realising what is my God, and it's the earth we live on, the world we live on.
Yep.
You see what I've seen here growing up. I used to go up to a church, play badminton in the wee hall there. I would have went more to a gospel hall. But for what I've seen between priests and ministers for molesting children, that minister of that church I went to play badminton, he threw himself out down a well because he was abusing children. I just got sent a video order on with great Jeffrey Donaldson of Northern Ireland here. And it looks like it was Newry Courthouse. You can see the coat over his hands. He's handcuffed there. And a serious amount of police around him while people was shouting at him. Any comments, Jeffrey? Now, this guy became First Minister here in Northern Ireland. Or he's Deputy First Minister in Northern Ireland up until he stepped down from the DUP. But see, people all in power, they got voted in. Where they got voted in or not, I don't believe they got voted in. They're already handpicked for these jobs.
You know, I mean, I'm not religious. I never have been. Yes, people have had religious jokes about for years. But I mean, I'm not against if someone gets something out of religion and they find religion and it gives them some sort of comfort. Absolutely.
Yeah, I respect that.
You know? Yeah, I totally respect that.
There's my brother Norman. Yeah. Well, you know, I'll bring him out on his anniversary, on his birthday in the group there, on the Facebook group. Norman, I say, but he hadn't got saved. I remember him. Now, Norman had no fear and nothing. The devil came to collect him because he did become a devil worshipper. And I seen him that night. He went and got baptized. He spent his last 10 years of his life as a Christian, helping people over in Manchester get down off heroin and things like that there.
Yeah. I mean, it's the same as anything. You know, it's a well-known fact that all religions, there were paedophiles, whatever, you know, in the ranks.
Mm-hmm.
But there are also, on the other hand, the ones that are there that want to do good. And I could never understand why those that were there that wanted to do good didn't speak out about these ones that they knew were doing bad.
Yeah. Yeah.
I can understand why the police do it, but
I can't
understand why.
I do my best also to keep an open mind because of a man that knew me since I was a baby growing up there. To me,
there you go, hour and a half into it. Sorry, Paul, I've just had the alert that I've gone live.
There's a man I grew up with. I'm not going to say any names or whereabouts. Like now, I come out. His granddaughter turned around and stated one day that she was getting abused by her grandfather. That's the man I knew. So he went out and he actually hung himself. He committed suicide there and then. 3 months later, she comes out with it that I only said it to get out of trouble. She got into a lot of serious trouble and made that statement that her grandfather abused her whenever he didn't. It was a lie. About within 6 months after that, she committed suicide.
Well, I know. I mean, the perfect example was the I always call him Reverend, the Reverend Bob, who conducted Heather's mum's funeral.
Mhm.
Now, we had a good chat with him after the service, and he was such a straight up funny guy. He didn't give a shit about my religious jokes. And some of the dirty jokes I told him, well, I've heard of them, but this is my version of it. Like, you know, and he was a great guy. I got on with him okay. Because we always said when we were going to get married that we'd like him to officiate it. Well, Heather did. I personally, I want registry office, you know, quick as possible. Do you? Yes, I have done many a time. Right, carry on doing it, but you can do it as man and wife now. But
Quick as with the pub.
But yeah, there's some real dry ones. I can remember getting thrown out of a church going in pissed at Christmas. We walked in on a Christmas mass back home in the village, and I got thrown out for singing while he was trying to give his sermon. They did the old bread and wine bit, and my mate just got the wine thing put in front of him, and he just like, give me the lot. We got hoofed out of there pretty quick. But I tried to tell him, look, there's no alcohol in it, because otherwise they wouldn't be giving it to the kids and shit. But he insisted on drinking the whole goblet thing of it.
That doesn't surprise me, Roger.
You see, the way I seen a church here, and as for being a Presbyterian, and bear in mind, Protestants has about maybe 9 different churches here, and Northern Ireland, it's unreal. All I ever seen I went into, that's all they were interested. If you didn't have enough money to put in their collection plate, they won't even break breath to you.
Heather's daughter's wedding the other weekend. Now, I went into the church before they even opened the doors because I was setting some cameras up for videoing, and, you know, I wanted to check the light in there and positioning and that. And I walked through the door, and the first thing you see is this table, and I'm not joking, there was more computer gear on it than I fucking got here.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, what are you doing? You running a church or a fucking YouTube channel? You know?
But bear in mind, all the roads lead to Rome, the Vatican.
I'd still like to get in that Vatican City and see what they're hiding in them vaults.
Oh.
Because the amount of conspiracy theories about what's in there.
You know, that
would be
never happen
interesting.
in our lifetime.
It would be interesting. I mean, the fact that the Germans didn't even get in there.
Right, I'll fucking say something like.
Well,
right
at the time, Italy was part of the Axis anyway, weren't they? They were in with Germany originally. So.
Yeah. But why even did the Americans not keep going at that time as well?
The Americans ripped off enough artwork on their own anyway. There's still a load they haven't found that they reckons that they've been put in caves and the entrances were blown up and hidden. So many conspiracy theories around that era.
There's
a lot of the gold that went missing. Apparently, a lot of it was taken to Switzerland, obviously. And the Swiss would never, ever divulge how much gold the Germans stored in their banks.
I have a wee DVD there, a documentary, and it's about Hitler, the Wolf. It's nothing there. It shows him living out his life in Argentina, and I think it was 1979. He died because the ones they actually found were lookalikes committed suicide that time at the end of the World War.
There's always been the conspiracy theory on that, simply because back then they didn't really have the technology to identify a burnt body.
Yeah.
Which was burnt.
Yeah.
Yes, there was a lot of Nazis that ended up in Argentina and South America. Obviously, there's still groups that go out there now hunting them and tracking them down. Some of the older ones. There's the one who was it? They arrested not so long back, and it was in my lifetime. And they brought him back and imprisoned him for the rest of his life, and he lasted about 2 years. He was that old, you know.
Yeah.
But again, with the Nuremberg trials, now all the armies back then did things that they could have been held accountable for, that they shouldn't have done.
all much. There's one there. There's a story there. I like watching there and listening to, and that's that Band of Brothers and that the Battle of Bergen out there. Wow.
Well, the worst one was the Japanese. It's only in the last,
Yeah.
I think it's 5 years, that they've actually only just apologized for their war crimes. Yet China was far worse when they invaded Burma and places like that. The atrocities that the Chinese army did, you know, that they were bayoneting babies in hospital and shit like that. They were never held accountable for that. You know?
Like, well, I put it down. Yeah, we're the fucking aliens on this planet, but
yeah,
you really sit back and wonder what is a human race capable of doing other than destruction.
The bit that pisses me off, that's always in the news now, regularly, you hear the shit from politicians. Oh, it's not within the rules of war. As far as I'm concerned, it's kill or be killed. There is no fucking rules when you're at war.
Yeah.
Because if you don't kill the fucker in front of you, he's going to kill you.
Yeah.
You can't play by any rules in a war. You know, it's, the casualties, civilian casualties.
Yeah. And
how many civilians were killed in World War I and World War II?
Well, you were talking about there, and I've been listening to it for so long about migrants coming in there. One of the ex-army camps here in Northern Ireland is still there. It was used for storing a lot of heavy-duty equipment, tanks and all that there. That is now meant to be getting turned into a shelter for the immigrants here in Northern Ireland. I was over in a Hollywood County down. It's not Palace Barracks, it's one across the road from it.
Palace Barracks is on.
No, Palace Barracks is Hollywood. That's where the main army battle is. It's the other one. CJ done it's just right in more or less in the coast front there, just outside Belfast and Hollywood County down.
Sorry, Anton's Massering.
Well, when you think about now, the thing that a lot of people didn't realise and they struck after it was put into a movie. I can't remember whether it was Sniper or Sniper Elite, something like that, where the actor obviously playing the sniper was in a quandary about shooting a kid.
Mm-hmm.
Until they saw that the kid was carrying mortar rounds inside his jacket, walking up the street.
Seen nothing.
Yeah, I can't remember the name of the film, but I remember seeing that clip.
You see, just whenever you're sitting out there. He brought up things about Northern Ireland, especially whenever it comes down to paramilitaries and religion. But obviously, with both sides, the way both sides would actually use kids here and dress them up in certain uniforms. And I was just a single picture there last night. It's just not right.
No. Well,
it's
what
just not right.
Just put there,
brainwashing children.
Didn't they drug up the troops in Vietnam? They didn't drug them up, but what they did was let them get away with it. Obviously, the drugs were rife in Vietnam. And believe it or not, those of you that smoke the lettuce, that is where the term doing a shotgun came from, was Vietnam.
Mm-hmm.
Because what they used to do was open the breech, put the spliff in the end of the barrel, and suck down the breech. And that was where the term shotgun came from for the devil's lettuce.
Wasn't that from, you were talking about the sniper?
Yeah, there's been quite a few of them.
Yeah, I think it was just called the sniper.
I know it was one of the later ones. I think it was with Billy Zane or somebody. Either Sniper Elite, something like that. It was the second one in the series.
Roger, we're going to bounce on out here, so we are let somebody else come on board with you. thanks for bringing us on your platform there,
Hey,
Martin.
mate, you're always
Big
welcome. You know
appreciation
that. You're always welcome. You know that, buddy.
No, enjoy the gab. Enjoy a lot of good wee pointers for you. I guess people food for thought, as we would say.
Well, the thing is, there's a lot of youngsters out there that could learn from people of our sort of age group, but they
Big
don't.
time.
You know,
No,
it's
well,
yeah, but no worries, Paul. You're always welcome. You know that, mate.
no,
You
thank you.
always
I'm going to
know
let
that.
that jump
Listen,
over.
folks, stay safe, and as I always say, record the clubs at all cost.
Mrs. W, big respect to you, Roger, everybody else there who's commented. Stuart B, big shout out at you there, my man. Pleasure and honour, and give me a shout sometime over the Facebook page there through Messenger, please. I want to give you a quick shout out there, quick before we go. CJ Audit in Northern Ireland, please, folks. Keep away in that man's channel. And as you know, Danny, big respect to that big guy. Sovereign News also here in Northern Ireland. The guy's trying to be getting a lot of stuff out there on YouTube. His name's Sean, and big respect. He's actually not common law, but the things that man comes out with is actually very, very interesting. Likewise, Roger, big respect to you, my man, from the bottom of my heart. Love you all to bits. And everybody else will give a shout out there in the comments. Respect
Likewise,
to every one of you.
Likewise.
Stay safe, folks.
Take
All
care,
the
Take
very
care,
best.
boys. Look after
Kick out
yourself.
the headlight and the very, very best of good luck to you, as I know.
Take care, guys. It's always nice speaking with Paul. It's nice for him to have a stable connection for a change. JD making a lettuce sticky. Do you know what, Jay? I haven't been on it now for, oh God, it's got to be getting on a couple of 3 months, isn't it? Since I had one, and it's made no difference to me now. Like I say, we've been Siggy free for a week, both me and Mrs. W. We actually had the last ones, just after my live last week. And yeah, I mean, as I say, I've got this. I wasn't going to use a vape, but I find it just takes an edge off and stops me thinking about it. But yeah, we're doing really well on that score. My lettuce is now stalking me. Yeah, they got a habit of looking at you and chatting to you, haven't you, Gary, afterwards? I used to spend hours talking to inanimate objects. Yeah, but they could get a lot stronger stuff out there, Ray. And you got to think that the coke trade was out that direction, the heroin trade was out that direction, as well as the greenery, and plus other stuff. Don't forget they used to lick frogs and toads out of there to get high as well. No, we're not using the vapes as a substitute, Holly. As soon as that sort of urge or even the thought goes out of the head about having one, then that'll go. I'm not buying them or anything like that. That's one that Heather had given her. She doesn't like it. It's pineapple. But I like the taste of it. But
I'm not going to use nicotine products for any length of time because they give me chronic indigestion. But I'm reaching for something. I'm looking for something. So while I can go, yeah, okay, I can just have a little suck on that. Don't say anything, Roger.
no, I'm not saying.
Because I'm sure he'll find something else I can suck on. You know.
I hadn't even thought of dropping to them levels of depravity tonight, but there you go.
Well, it is 10 to watershed.
Yeah, we haven't at 9 o'clock yet, so.
But no, a couple of puffs and that'll do me, and I'll stop thinking about it again.
Oh, Grumpy Sapper, thank you for sending me that clip of the rain out there. I did actually put it in a video the other day when I was talking about that going on out there. But the vapes can't hurt my teeth, Gary. I've only got 7 on the bottom of my own. The others are plastic. Yeah, I mean, I found it easy for the first few days, Holly. As you know, I'd been cutting down for months now. And literally, I was only still smoking because I still had tobacco left, some duty-free tobacco. And being a tightwad, I wasn't going to give the stuff away. But when that run out, I said, that's it. But Heather still had a couple of packets of fags left from the last lot that she had. So what I was doing was cutting an inch off the end of the big long ones that she's got, using that to make a roll up to help her try and smoke them more quickly, as it were. So she'd go into a packet one day and find that most of the packet had been reduced by about a third in length where I'd cut this inch off of it. But, yeah, but funny enough, Holly, you're saying that. Even in this week, my breathing has got better. I'm not wheezing as much at night. I'm still coughing a little bit at the moment, but that's because I'm still getting over the flu. But my sinuses are a lot clearer. Obviously, as you know, I had issues with me throat and that anyway from the fire. But even that doesn't play up as much now. So it is doing me some good.
But when he's used that vape, he's not getting another one.
No, what? Because that's got it's a throwaway. It's not a refillable. But once that's gone, it's literally because it was there, and Heather didn't like that one. So I can't chew gum supper because of my plate. I end up with opening my mouth and my top plate stays at the bottom, as it were. So the lips are moving, but the teeth ain't. Yeah, well, that was one of the things I did because I always had an ashtray by the side of me here on the table, supper. And that was the first thing I done, remove it, get it out of the way. Heather has banned you, Roger.
No, we're both. My daughter gave up smoking and is still using vape. So to me, that apart from saving money, that's done nothing. She's still in that situation where she's relying on something. And I'm not knocking her. Don't get me wrong. I'm not knocking her. But so many people give up smoking and end up vaping for the rest of their life. I'm not going down that road. When I'm just using this as like a halfway house, so that rather than ripping his head off and snapping at him every 5 minutes, I've got a little bit of nicotine to help with the cravings. And yeah, over the next few weeks, I'm sure they will get less. And yeah, hopefully soon. No, the vapes are going, because I know they're just as bad for you.
The biggest problem I'm going to face, I think, is when we're on holiday fishing, because I do tend to clang a lot off then, because obviously we don't catch a lot of fish. So I get bored. But yeah, it's just a matter of finding other things to occupy yourself doing. Again, I'm not going to go down that route, but doing things with your hands.
Can't do that while we're out in public.
My biggest issue used to be sat here doing lives, because I'd be clanging them off one after the other. Obviously, I find other things to do now. Not seeing what I'm doing under the table, but I do play with things. Put more beers in the river, Roger. Well, that's it. I don't drink either, see, so Just going back up the chat, see what people have been saying. Oh, hello. What was that all about? Ah, got a thing up there. Oh, fucking hell, Sapper. Yeah, I've seen things like that. That is nasty. I've also known people that have, because of it, have had their voice box basically removed, and they have the old robot voice thing that they hold to their neck and their throat. We had one in the caravan club, used to use it. We used to call him Metal Mickey because of the way he sounded. But he used to take it as a joke with the way I meant it, you know. What were we trying to think of his name? Terry. That was it. He used to sound like the robot on Fireball XL5, you know, Roger. Yeah, that you know, if people see them sort of things, they would understand. But again, the fact that Sunak is trying to ban smoking in this country eventually, yet we got people over from the Ukraine being trained here and they're giving them free ciggies. I'm like, no, if they want to smoke, make the fuckers pay for them. Why should we pay for them? You know? Ukraine has had more than enough money off of us, and now we've got to build up our arms supply again because they've fucking given them most of that as well. Gary, one thing I never lose is my glasses, mate. That's not including the pair I got on and the other two pairs in the cupboard over there. Unfortunately, my eyes change very, very regular because of the polycythemia. It does affect your sight. So one day I might need one pair, another day I might need another pair. It gets fucking annoying, but...
And that's something we've got to sort out, is another...
Getting through the COVID scam with your sanity and strength and self-belief is in the middle of... Yes, Ray, I will agree on that. Obviously, we had to dismiss a lot of propaganda. I actually worked quite hard through lockdown and that shit because obviously being a YouTuber, that's one of the reasons I started, was because of stuff like that around them. I wanted to expose and show the information that I'd found. Sadly, I couldn't show a lot of it, although it's public knowledge now. At the time, it was just getting removed as medical misinformation. As I said, I got the channel pulled down twice, once for a week, once for 30 days, and the warning that it would be pulled down permanently if I carried on. But I knew what I was putting out with facts because I did my research. But then I started doing it in a different way, where I was matching up what I wanted to say with something from history that had already been proven as fact. Like, I wanted to get out there just how damaging the vaccines were. Well, we all know now, several pharma companies have admitted it as well, along with some other governments. But I akin that to the swine flu outbreak in 1976, where another one was introduced called Pandemrix, which did a lot of damage similar to what these ones are doing today. But they couldn't take that down simply because it was documented history and documented fact. So I used to say, well, look, you know, okay, I'm putting this out as an educational video on history, but there are a lot of similarities to what's going on at the time. This was back in, I think it was 2021. I put that one out. Or there was two of them, actually. They're still up on the channel. A lesson from history, the swine flu, part 1 and part 2. One was about the history of it, and the second one was talking about a case of some nurses in this country that were actually forced under threat of losing their jobs with the NHS to take this thing. and they got millions of pounds in compensation. You can actually still claim now if you believe you've been damaged by any of the vaccines lately. There is still a scheme where you can apply and get compensation. The compensation is actually paid by the government, but the maximum payout that you have to jump through many hoops to get it is only 120 grand. Whereas the ones back in 76, they run into the millions. And a lot of them were only settled, I think it was back in 2018, that the last payments were made to those victims.
No problem, Holly.
No worries. You carry on, my dear. Night watchman can't have days off. Criminals don't. Yeah, exactly, Jay. Yeah, the thing is with mine, Jen, it's part of the parcel of this blood disorder, which I found very strange. One, my eyes take longer to focus when I take glasses on and off and put them on and off. But my eyes at any time, like this is why sometimes I finish a live early. It's because my eyes constantly go in and out of focus now and again. And that is one of the symptoms connected with what I've got. Funny enough, one of the other ones is your big toe goes numb. I could never understand that one, why they picked on just the big toe, but the only thing the Welsh government got right was refusing to make the jobs mandatory. Actually, there's nothing in the law to say that they could make it mandatory, really. A mandate to become lawful has to actually be agreed by both parties involved, which would have meant an agreement between ourselves, the public, individuals, with Big Pharma and the government, and agree to take it. Other than that, it was absolutely illegal to force people to take it, as many companies are finding out now, especially in Australia, where a law has been passed that if anybody had lost their job through refusing to take it, then they can actually sue the company. Australia passed that into law last year. Yeah, they did give it a good go. Basically, what they were trying to do was force you into it by reports, narratives, putting out literally false information.
Care homes and things like that were the worst, though.
Yeah. Doing it to the olds and the silver tops that didn't know any better, that didn't know the laws and the ins and outs of it. They just took it because they were frightened.
I meant staff.
Well, staff as well, yeah.
You can't work here if you haven't had a jab.
What was the other one I was going to say then?
Sorry.
Fucking hell. It's gone right out of my head. There was something else around that. Oh, yeah. I actually had an NHS circular that went round all NHS personnel that were dealing with it, telling them how to convince people and frighten them into taking it. And that was listed by age, minority groups, ethnic groups, and it was different instructions for different age groups and different ethnic backgrounds. But that was actually put out to show and instruct NH staff how to confuse people, what to tell them to make them feel comfortable with taking it. But as now we know what went on, how it was worked, the uptake now is about 5% of the country. And even a lot of those now are turning around and saying, no, you can fuck off with it.
Gary, me, him, my son, my daughter, their partners, the children, we are the great unjabbed family.
Yeah. And we had inside information because a lot of the death figures that they were giving was absolutely bollocks, because Heather's daughter is a funeral director. And the way it's looking now, there is more or less more deaths happening, as I predicted back then, because of it, not from it.
They are busier now than they were during lockdown.
Yeah. They are busier now because of adverse reactions, I'll call them, than they actually were during the pandemic itself.
So many people having heart attacks.
And younger people as well.
Yeah.
I mean, it's been exposed now where the guys doing the autopsies and shit like that are finding these white clots. They don't know, they've never seen them before. It's only recently they've started to appear. And the other worrying thing is all of a sudden these big companies are announcing they've got wonderful jabs for this, that, and the other, like the one that's supposed to be able to help fight off cancer that they're on about, and things like that. Yes, Ray, the flu absolutely disappeared because it didn't go away. It was just given another name. All of a sudden, these things are supposed to take years to develop. Now, all of a sudden, they can come up with one a week.
Well, they've got one for shingles now.
Well, in fact, who was it? I think it. Now, don't quote me on the name, but one of them, I got a feeling it was Pfizer. An investigation in America by the American government proved that the one they issued to the public wasn't the one that the government tested to see if it was safe. They gave some to the government and whatever, the CDC, whatever, to test. It was deemed safe. And the one that was issued to the public was a completely different version. All right, Bleach. Yeah, no worries about being late, mate. Like I said, nobody is under any obligation to even be here, let alone be here as soon as I start. But good evening to you, mate. But I'm lasting quite well tonight, actually, because the other night I didn't sleep at all. The last 2 nights I've been up about 4 o'clock in the morning. Some days I get a kip in the afternoon. Today I haven't. Panda, I am, mate. You haven't missed a lot. Just me talking the usual bollocks. Nice to see you in here, bud. How are you feeling now, anyway? I know you were having a few issues a little while back after your strokes. But you seem to be doing all right on face aches. I haven't bothered inquiring in there. Yeah, I'm not so blocked up, Jen. That was part of the problem at night. As soon as I laid down, I just couldn't breathe. No change there. Yeah, it takes a while, mate. The biggest issue I had with it, obviously, what it did to me with my memory and the chronic fatigue and that, the ME. But the biggest thing I found initially hard to cope with was changing the way I led my life to accommodate it. I mean, I used to love going out in my workshop, doing weird things and inventing and building weird things out there, me mountain biking, and all of a sudden, overnight, those things were taken away from me, the things that used to keep me occupied, as it were.
Out of my way.
Yeah, out of your way. The internet and learning the tech on this has kind of taken over from that, but it's static. I'm not moving around. I'm not doing any exercise other than walking up and down the stairs all the time for a piss. But
No video. I didn't say that one.
Did you see Andrew's brilliant speech? Yes, I did. I did, Mikey. He went right at him. Fair play to the guy. Panda, yeah, I mean, my long-term memory hasn't suffered at all. My short-term memory has been getting slightly worse ever since I had the blood clot, which was that 2014?
Something like that.
2014-15, I had the blood clot on the brain. I didn't notice it, but Heather did. When she started to point it out to me, you're forgetting things that you've just said or what people have told you. But since the actual strokes, yes, my short-term memory, people have seen it tonight. I'll be talking about something. I'll literally stop for a couple of seconds and I've totally forgotten what I'm talking about.
Well, I told you that me and Donna were spending the night before the wedding over there so I could help her get ready Saturday morning. So I told you ages before the wedding I was not at home Friday night. And yet when we were talking about it a few days before, you went, it's the first I've heard of that. Because it had gone.
Yeah, it just, I'll sit here with somebody and we'll be halfway through a conversation and I'll just go blank. I'll literally forget what the conversation was about. Yet something that happened 40, 50 years ago, memories are instant. Or something will trigger them. Oh, she is, mate. She is. Salt of the earth, buddy.
I need something to do them on, Jenny. I need a subject. I need some bright ideas.
But I'll tell you what, though, Craig, I honestly, and I've said this many times, and I've said it to her face as well, I don't believe, with the problems I've had over the last few years, that if I hadn't met her and had been with her, I wouldn't be here now. And I can say that, hand on heart, quite honestly.
Andy, you've met me, you know I'm bloody bossy.
Yeah, I don't fall asleep instantly, Gary. It's the fatigue, but I do know, like a couple of times over the last month or so, as you know yourself, I've cut a live stream early simply because I'm struggling. I can't keep my eyes open and I just need to get my head down. Dan gets the same. People think, oh, yeah, but you're always away. You're always in front of the camera. Just sitting here talking isn't that physical, but sometimes the ME does catch up with you and you just, I've got to stop. I can't carry on. I've even dropped out of Dan's live streams because of it. Craig knows exactly what I'm talking about because it's not that long ago that he suffered his, and I think you had a reoccurring one as well, didn't you? Some TIAs the other week.
Jenny, I've never watched Loose Swimming, so I don't even know what it. You're going to have to come on and help me.
I know Loose Women.
Jenny, would you come on and help me? Would you be willing to come on and you and me just sit and chat? Jenny, you're on Facebook, aren't you?
Yes.
Yeah. I'll drop you a message on Facebook.
Have you friended her on Facebook?
I'm not certain.
Well, she's in my list anyway. So.
I'm not
1st
certain.
of July, second one, 2 months ago. Yeah, I remember you posting when you ended up in Trelisk, I think it was, wasn't it?
You don't have to be confident. You just have to be willing to talk to me.
It's Karen's. But with mine, Craig, I had a major one. But I didn't recognise it. I didn't know what it was. And then the following week, that was in March, the following week, one afternoon, I was working away on the computer, and I actually had 4 quite large TIAs all within the afternoon. And I didn't go into hospital initially for the major one because, like I said, I thought it was a whiteout through the devil's letters, but it wasn't. But the other 4, one after the other, I knew exactly what it was. And at that point, yeah, it was off to hospital.
I knew exactly what it was, and you weren't having me. I wasn't hanging up when I was dialing 999, like you let me do the first time.
Trouble is, Craig, is she'll try and answer people. Now I can't see that she's trying to speak. You lot can't see her lips from there. I keep meaning to put 2 chairs here so we're both on the screen, and she can have a locked up. Well, she can go upstairs and join in the stream and come on the panel with the other computer. But yes, Jenny says you are on a friends list. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, it's all right, love. I can say the comments.
TIA, Gary, is like a mini stroke. A lot of people do have them rather than a full-blown stroke, and they don't even know they've had them. But when they're bad enough, you do get some symptoms from it. And as soon as I had the first one, I went and laid down, and I was absolutely fine. After an hour, got back up, and then I'd have another one, and that was 4 times, one after the other, through the afternoon. I've had 1 or 2 since, but
he didn't let me know till I got home from work.
You know what I'm like. I hate bothering. I hate hospitals. Yeah, well, that was the thing, Craig. With the first one, obviously, I'm unconscious out in the kitchen. Heather's put me in the recovery position and called an ambulance. But when I regained consciousness, I just like, yeah, I'm absolutely fine now. Cancel the bloody ambulance, you know. Yeah, Gary, it is a man thing. It is a man thing. Over something like that, we can't be bothered, but we'll create merry fuck over having a cold.
Oh, and don't worry, Craig. If you come up here, when you come up with Rhino, when the 2 of you come up here, I'll leave you to it. I'm not going to try and interrupt, other than would anybody like another cuppa? That'll be all I'll do.
I've just noticed that there's a big bowl of homemade rice pudding that's just come out the oven in the kitchen.
Yeah, but I forgot about it, so it's a bit well done.
That's all right. I can take the burnt bits off the top. I don't mind a bit of crunch.
It's nice.
Gives me false teeth a workout.
You won't need your false teeth for that one.
Gary might be having some symptoms.
What's a cup? It's the only thing you'll get here, because unless you want spirits, or tell me what to get in the way of beer.
Yeah, because I don't drink now, so get the sugar and the blowtorch. Yeah, well, that's just for caramelising things. She actually burns the top of the rice pudding. And the trouble is, I've got to clean the frigging dish afterwards.
No, you haven't. I'll do it, because I always end up doing it.
Oh, Betty. Oh, dear. That's been quite a good stream tonight so far. We've covered a lot of subjects. But I haven't got any notes written up for tomorrow's video yet, so it could be relevant news in the morning. Obviously, updates on the things I've been covering today. I'm also going to look into a bit more. I haven't had time yet to look into what Roland was saying out in Germany. Because obviously...
He didn't say, do you want to build a snowman?
He was on about snowmen.
Well, he kept going on about Olaf.
Oh, that's
and all my brain could do was go, do you want to build a snowman?
That's the German fucking whatever he is.
Yeah, he's pal.
I know he's trying to build an alliance and a kind of outside alliance between Germany, France, and us. Well, I can't see.
Time with France.
French is a waste of fucking time trying to do anything with the French. We've given them millions and they've done fuck all. But what he should be sorting out is why aren't the rest of the NATO countries in Europe supplying the Ukraine with arms? Because it all seems to be us. Us and the Americans have given them the most. Germany has given them some right old shit from the Cold War era.
What do you mean? I speak funny.
Yes, Jay. He absolutely, Tommy, showed them up for what they are. And I particularly like the interview with the Sky reporter as well, where he showed that silly bitch up for what they are as well. He really ripped into her. Like I said, I don't particularly like the guy, but I respect him and admire him for what he's doing and standing up to the establishment like that. That does take a lot of balls to push it as far as he does. And it's because he hasn't let it drop. And he's got the proof now. The Met couldn't come up with any evidence. They gave all the excuses that camera footage was corrupted, been recorded over. And, well, as he said, that makes no difference because there was enough people around during all of the incidents filming it anyway. So he's actually got the evidence on video, what went on. So they couldn't refute it, really. And luckily enough, he had a judge that agreed. I mean, yes, his bail conditions were absolutely ridiculous. And I believe now, I mean, there are people that got treated the same. You got people like Little Veteran. Oh, God. What's his name? Leggett. Fucking hell. My mind's gone blank again. Alan Leggett, that were banned from certain areas. Like Little Veteran was banned from Wales. Which was a bit harsh. Now, he could appeal on that and probably get compo out of it. Same as the ones that were banned from Pet Level, which Little Veteran was also banned from. Active Patriot, that's it. Thank you, Ricky. Good evening, mate. Sorry, by the way.
Ricky.
Active Patriot, yeah. Alan Leggett, whatever his name is. I used to love watching his antics. Absolute fucking raving lunatic. But how he used to get away with some of the things, it was unbelievable.
Was that the electric scooter boy?
Yeah. He's still about, actually. He goes out filming with Yorkshire Rose a lot. But, yeah, active. Absolute nut job. Such a funny guy. Yeah, I mean, the favourite one has got to be, as you said, the scooter chase. That was when he edited all up and put the sound effects in.
Yeah.
Fucking funny as hell, man. I believe that's still up.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, exactly, sure. And the thing is, the CAF or was it a pub? I can't remember now, where they arrested him from. They had CCTV as well. He's always got a bunch of, and this is why we always advocate when you're dealing with the police, if you're not filming them, always make sure someone's filming them on your behalf. Always. Because they can't be trusted. They will lie. And as we know, there are a lot of judges that will back the police and take their word without even question. Whereas now, with especially the Met, any decent judge should question any evidence put forward by the Met. They've been proved to be liars. They've been proved to be cheats. And you just can't trust the bastards. And most of them are under orders from Khan now anyway. They're supposed to be free thinking. And all the police forces are supposed to work autonomously. But they don't. Police registered with company's house. That, Gary, is actually the side of it that deals with the fines. The company that actually sends the fines out from the courts and on behalf of the police is actually a company that's registered and is run by ex-coppers, would you believe? And they obviously take a huge salary from the proceedings as well.
You've got to keep it in the family.
Yeah, Jay, they've been caught out so many times. I mean, when they say sorry now for getting something wrong, my mind don't even hear it. Like the other day, oh, we're sorry for the way they treated that Jewish guy in London. It's not an apology. It's an excuse, and they can think they can just walk away scot-free by giving an apology. As I said, all right, get caught speeding. It's okay. I apologise. You know, I can get away with it. It doesn't work the other way, does it? Which is a shame. But that's the worst thing you can ever say to a copper is sorry. Because as soon as you said that, you've admitted you're guilty of something. Like when they pull you over with a car. Why do you think we pulled you over? Well, I don't know. You're the one that pulled me over. You fucking tell me, you know. I ain't done nothing wrong. Yeah, I mean, stop being openly Jewish. Again, that literally comes down and will come under the racial discrimination. Now, if we did that, said something to somebody that would be openly racial discrimination, would we be able to say sorry and just walk away scot-free? No repercussions? No, not at all. Not at all. Like, apparently us honkies are the only ones that can be racist. No. I mean, in fact, I still carry it with me so I can remember. You might remember the face mark exemption cards that PAP did. Well, on the back of there, it's actually got 2 of the discrimination and equality laws that they were breaking. Now, those laws apply to a lot of things discriminatory. So I always keep that so I can remember the actual acts. And it was amazing. Somebody used to say, oh, you're not wearing a face mask. Are you exempt? So, yeah. And they said, well, how come you're exempt? I said, I don't have to tell you. You don't need to know, because the fact that you're asking, it means that you're discriminating against me anyway. So you're breaking the law. You know, the coppers, oh, yeah, come on then, show us your exemption. Well, legally, you didn't have to have anything to show them, because the doctors would not issue anything to say that you were exempt. And the government themselves said, as soon as you tell them you're exempt, they're supposed to accept it. And the police wouldn't. There was so much they got wrong on that. You know, to the point where some were saying that every single arrest and fine over the COVID's Act, we'll call it, should have been wiped out. And I believe they should have been, because most of them were unlawful. And the biggest mistake they made, which I actually had the letter of the law that went round the police stations telling them what they could and couldn't do, which they took no notice of at all. In big letters, in red, actually stated that they did not have the authority to stop an account just by pulling people on the street. Because back then, you know, they didn't use, oh, we believe you've got a knife and bullshit like that. They were just saying, you're not got a mask on. What's your details? Where's your ID? They had no lawful right to do that because you weren't breaking any laws. There was a lot of people that found out about it after we started putting it out there, and they started using it, and the law started leaving them alone then. And the other thing was, police didn't have to wear masks when they were in their cars, even if they were with a work colleague, as I used to point out to them regular. How many of you lot have gone down and caught it? It was a number they wouldn't release, and they haven't done to this day. I have looked, and there's nothing in there about it. But one I did find out, and it's not connected to the COVID. Well, it might be indirectly. I found out how much compensation various police forces have had to pay out over the years for their wrongdoings, I would call them. The highest on the list is the Metropolitan Police. And last year, it was in the region, they paid out of about, I think it was 60 million in compensation to various people. And that wasn't including any compensation payments above 15 grand. That was all payments below 15 grand. Yet in 21-22, between, I think it was 6 police forces, maybe more, they only paid out 80 million. In fact, I can share that with you because, is that it? Nope. Right. Somewhere I have, there we go. Share that. That one.
Jenny, you saying that while he's finding that and sharing it?
That was, I think that was the one from 2021 and 22. As you can see there, Metropolitan Police, 36 million paid out. Scotland, 22 million. Manchester, 5 million. Even the Ministry of Defence Police paid out over 2 million in compensation. Now, what does that tell you? And they're always bitching and moaning that they haven't got the money in the coffers, their budget's gone, or they need more money.
Don't we all?
You imagine what 20 odd million could do for a police force. and just by their wrongdoings, they've had to pay that amount out, which all comes out their budget, by the way. Jenny J walked into a shop earlier, saw 4 people's window. We see them all the time. I will admit, mainly over here, where we are, it's the older folk. And I believe it's because they're still scared.
I
Or,
got a dirty look off somebody today while I was out shopping because I hadn't got a mask on.
I just tell them, well, you got one on. It protects you. Why should I wear one?
Oh, I didn't say anything. I just smiled sweetly at the silly man.
But there is still quite a few people out there that are frightened of it because they took on board the narrative and nobody's really told them any different.
They still believe.
You know, you can tell them that they're doing more harm by wearing them, but they're not going to believe you that, you know, they're set in their ways.
Because at no point has the government turned round and said, you don't have to wear a mask in the same way that they said you must.
Well, the thing is now, a lot of the authorities don't like people wearing a mask because it covers their face up for the facial recognition cameras that are being put up. To the point, there's one area in London, I can't remember, it might have been Hackney, where the police were actively walking up and down the street asking people to take any face coverings off, whether they had a balaclava on, a mask. This was only a few weeks back, because they'd got the facial recognition cameras there. And I've seen a report of, I think it was a Tesco's in London that wasn't actually letting people through the door because they were saying, we've got facial recognition cameras because of the shoplifting. We want to see your face clearly before we let you into the store. Well, that is blatant discrimination.
You still get it in the hospital now if you got a mask.
Because biometric information about an individual is not allowed to be taken covertly. Even the police, under certain levels of arrest, do not have the right to fingerprint you, and they absolutely do not have the right to draw blood or take photographs in certain circumstances. Not without a court's authorization, anyway. But, you know, these are the things that people need to educate themselves on. As Dan always says, if you think the police are wrong, then go and research it. Go and look at it. Because 9 times out of 10, if you think they're wrong, they are. You know, even down to misquoting an act. Most of them don't know the laws and don't know the acts anyway. That's why they've got their little phones, because they want to check stuff out. You know, if you want to cover your face up in public, there is no law. They're trying to bring them in, but there is no law other than temporary ones that the police put in around protests that say you have to remove your face coverings. People do it to hide themselves. A lot of auditors still cover their faces. Personally, I find it rude. If someone's trying to talk to me through a balaclava, I just wouldn't bother listening. If you want to talk serious to me, I'm not going to take you seriously unless I can see your face. You know?
I'm a bit deaf, I need to lip read.
Hides the stubble well. I'm past that point, Jay.
Jay, I didn't think it was that noticeable.
Yeah, well, what do you think we call them? Face nappies. Oh, here we go. No, don't go down that route again. I know it's gone 9 o'clock, but you started that earlier. It's normally me or Dan.
I can be just as bad as you boys.
I think it's part because they're more frightened that they were wrong rather than they were.
Yeah.
Well, do you know what, Mikey? I'm saying that quite a lot now, because if you look at the way they work the protests and stuff like that, a lot of the coppers will wear face coverings. They've been pulled up on collar numbers because there was a big issue, especially with the TSG, about them removing their collar numbers, their lapels numbers, before they did anything. And again, yeah, the TSG, obviously, helmets, face covering, they love it because they can still try and operate anonymously. But they realise now that the public are learning, and we will hold them to account. Put the face covering order in yesterday on a section 60.
Holly, now you're back from your shower. Are you up for a live with me and Jenny, if I can talk her into it?
Yes, Stuart. They can. It's a bit like the temporary exclusion orders. Is it a section 35 or section 36? They can put in a temporary thing, and they have done it with a few of the pro-Palestine lot, where if they've got face coverings, they can actually ask them to remove them. And they're using that simply because most of them cameras that the police use on the poles, like they were using yesterday, those are actual facial recognition capability cameras. And that's how they can pick people out after the event. They keep saying that they're arresting these pro-Palestinian people after the event because it saves causing a lot of hassle. Personally, I don't think they are. They're just saying that because we can't prove that they are or they're not. Yes, Jen, the three of you could do like a conference thing on there.
Yeah, we'll
video
sort
call.
something out.
That might give you the bit of confidence you need to be able to do it on here. You know, start off small. Oh, you're putting that in, aren't you? Yeah, there you go. Lost Souls is up for that. It's just like doing a VC on Discord, isn't it? You know?
Three of us chatting.
Just argy bargy, some Brits. You can't witness it. What's that connected to, Jay?
They are helmets. Won't but can. Can't witness it.
Well, to be honest, them open face helmets with the visors that the TSG wear are probably one of the worst things you can, because if you get behind them, you just reach over, grab the bottom of the visor, yank the head backwards. That fucks them right up. Right, I will keep going till 10 o'clock. That gives us about another quarter of an hour, so I will do the full 3 hours tonight.
Whoa.
Helmet. Arrested it. Yeah, they do, Stuart. Brian, evening, buddy. I know you're usually there in the background. We've had some good discussions tonight. But yeah, there is a lot you can do to defend yourself physically from the police. In most cases, I wouldn't recommend it because they will twist you up and they will break you eventually.
Can you hit them?
Yes, you can actually. If you feel your life is threatened, you can defend yourself from a deliberate attack from a copper, but you take a hell of a lot to justify your actions. A hell of a lot. Dan went into it one night, talking about it. But yes, you can defend yourself from an illegal attack. I mean, you know, you can make a citizen's arrest against a police officer. They'll treat you as a pisshead and take it as a joke. They won't take it seriously. But within the law, as far as I know, you still can. But again, you got to convince the court, which is very hard to do against the police, especially on something like that. Yes, exactly, Jay. A wrongful arrest can be resisted, although they still come at you. Obviously, the best advice is don't fight back. Let them get on with it. Let them arrest you, and then fight it in court. And that will also give you the evidence of a wrongful arrest if they go through with it and you can prove that it was. Yes, Gary, absolutely, mate. Yeah, exactly, Beardy. And that was always one of my arguments. I used to wear a dust mask, obviously, at work with the old filters on. And somebody said, well, you know that they don't seal properly around your face when you've got facial hair. I said, yeah, mine's at the bottom, but the hair filters a lot of it out anyway. And I've got quite an expensive one. It comes down to about halfway down my neck, and it will encompass my beard. Obviously, cutting and grinding, lime mortar, cutting out joints and stuff like that. That's the last shit you want to get down your throat. Yeah, that burns. Roger created COVID. Do I look like a little slant-eyed one? Oh. No, you can never rely on the police video evidence, Jay. Never, ever. That's why we always say if you can't record them, if you've got someone with you, make sure they do. Even if they step back from a distance, they can zoom in what's going on. And the other thing is what people forget to do is if you're arrested in public and you believe it's wrong, go and ask the local shops. Look for local businesses that have got cameras. You can put in a request for footage. Obviously, the police will get there and try and tell them that you don't hand it over and bollocks like that. But you can legally obtain that footage. And also the footage from inside the police stations. That is not supposed to be deleted. That is supposed to be kept by them as video evidence. But again, we have had occurrences where, the camera wasn't working. The camera's waiting to be repaired. But the ones they come out with, Tommy, was ridiculous. I mean, out of 20 coppers, they didn't have one viable bit of body cam footage. Don't cut with me. And I personally like the way, I can't remember what state it is or what city in America now. There's one that have bought in new body cameras for their officers, which they have to wear, all of them. The cameras are turned on at the station when they start their shift, and they can't alter them, turn them on and off, alter the sound, mute them or anything until they finish their shift. They're on permanently throughout their shift, so nothing gets missed. And the amount of police bullying that went down back in wherever this city was, I can't remember where it was now. The amount of falsifying reports, corruption by the police on the public dropped by about 90%. And the other issue that they did, which was, again, I would be fully behind if they wanted to do it here, that all the camera footage from any incident that anybody's complained about it, the police would release that footage in public. So there was no way of getting around it. But that's what I used to do with my hair and mine, mate, years ago, Beardy. I used to comb my hair over the top and bring it down to about there, over the top of my face, and then put my crash helmet on with my goggles and just open it up. I used to look like a fucking Yeti. But I ain't even got enough now for a comb over. You know what I mean? But it's, you know, it saves wasting a lot of the food because everything gets stuck in there. You just comb it out for later, you know? Yeah, that was it. The Hamlet man, Brian? Mr. Comb Over, the old cigar advert. God, I'm showing my age now. It was Hamlet, wasn't it?
Yes.
Yeah. Trump's got a beauty. Yes, it was. Thank you, Brian. Yeah. Used to be on mainstream when you were allowed to advertise tobacco products, shall we say. But yeah, I can remember things like that. Yeah, some people said, well, you know, why don't you do what Dan's done? I mean, come on, at my age, you ain't going to find no viable shit unless it comes off my face to put on my head. Oh, dear. Took that a bit too deep with that thing this time. Right, guys, I'm going to start winding it down now. That is getting on close to 10 o'clock. We're already an hour past my bedtime, but I knew we were going to have a little bit of a later one on a Wednesday rather than the Friday afternoon ones that I used to do. And it does work. We seem to get more people in on these Wednesday ones because obviously people have done their school runs, they've had their tea, and it's quite nice. It's this Scottish comedian, go over in the mirror. Yeah, that's one of the program I never used to really watch, if I'm honest, Brian. I'm a great watcher of documentaries more than anything on TV. It's just I like to learn things, as if I haven't got enough useless information between my fucking ears as it is. But yeah, as always, before a lot of people start dropping out, huge respect for those of you that have dropped in. Thank you very much for supporting the channel. Obviously, the numbers, I don't really care about the numbers, but it does help getting the channel out there. Obviously, the more viewings you get, the more people involved, more comments. That all helps with the analytics. I do look at them occasionally, but I can pick fault with them all over the place. But again, I will say, if you make a comment on a video and I don't reply to it, it's literally because they've hidden it that well I haven't been able to find it, or they have actually removed it. As some people have found out, if you put a link in a comment, that comment doesn't show. Well, that is a rule I've got on the channel. It goes into the for review box, literally because I want to see what that link is before I put it in public. Someone put one in the other day. I can't remember who it was. And I only found it when I was looking yesterday. I checked the link out. The link is fine. It was to a YouTube video. There was nothing out of order on the YouTube video. So I approved it and it went up. But that's the reason you can't get links instantly in the chat. Likewise, for those of you on Facebook, unless I know you or you're linked to someone I'm already friends with on there that I know, I do not accept out of the blue friends requests. Simply because we've got so many people out there now that are diving into people's profiles. They're setting up fake profiles using your information. So I don't do that. I don't do that at all. Unless I can verify who it is. What's that beard he's put on there? My life.
And I'm sick of being asked if I know who somebody is when it's not a name that's on YouTube or anything else, because it's your actual name.
Yeah.
Because my Facebook is my name. On here, I'm Mrs. W. I am not Mrs. W on Facebook. Those of you who know me on Facebook know my name. So it gets so confusing. But yeah.
Gregory Fisher. But yeah, that's one thing I do on Facebook. It's simply because we've had hassle with there is one that gives it a lot of it now, ripping the piss, using someone else's name that I know. Some of you will know what that's about. I won't give the name out on here because.
Yeah, just because.
Because.
Yeah, if you send a friend's request to either of us on Facebook and it's your real name, not your YouTube name, let us know. Send us a message. Say, look, it's me.
And we'll find a way of verifying it.
And then at least we know who we're ignoring. Oh, God, I'm not accepting that person.
Yeah, but you've got several different ones on there, Holly. I know they tore a lot of them down, but... I mean, who was it today? Said they're having a lot of problems with comments being removed on YouTube. Ex-Army Paz 49. I actually posted a couple of comments on one of his videos today, and both of them disappeared. He's having a lot of problems with it. But as we know, poor old Paz, and the Rev have an awful lot of problem with left waffen.
Can I just put out another plea? If anybody really does know anything about what's happened with Sian,
yes,
because she's disappeared, we haven't seen or heard from her. We weren't connected through Facebook. Nobody's got a phone number or anything else. And somebody, whether honestly or just jokingly on Dan's the other night, said that she passed away. Now,
that could have been a troll.
It could have been a troll. It could have been the truth. If anybody has actual information, can they let us know? Please, please, please.
There's a lot of worried people. That was Stuart. Yes, that comment, my main comment stayed up. You obviously saw the reply from some dozy bint underneath. I did put 2 replies up to her. Paz and his mods hadn't removed them. So it was obviously YouTube. The person that the comments were in reply to is not a moderator on there. They could block themselves from seeing it, but they wouldn't be able to block it from anybody else seeing it. So those were actually removed, and there was nothing nasty in them. It was just replying to her and what she said, because I didn't like the fact that she turned around and said I was defending the police. You know, it's something I put out in the video today. Was it today? Yeah, today.
One of the days.
I wasn't defending the police at all. I was just pointing out the fact that it wasn't just one-sided. The police instigated the incidents, but people reacted the way the police wanted to. So they got their own way. They got what they wanted. Simple as that. And she took it the wrong way and said I was defending the police, which you lot know absolutely. On something like that, I wouldn't have done. I will praise the police. If they've solved a crime and they've done it the right way, or arrested somebody and done it for the right reason in the right way, big up. Yes, proper criminals need taking off the streets. But I will not go out of my way to defend the police in any other shape or form.
Can I just, is Jay saying there that he's got some information? He's friends with Sean on Facebook.
Can get a phone number off Facebook. Homepage. I've never seen her on Facebook, Jay. Never seen her on Facebook. I don't even think she's got an account. She did delete her account with Discord. She did say she was going to take a step back at one point, but she still used to pop up on Discord or whatever. But it's just worrying that she just dropped out of everything.
Concern. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I know that lost. I'm just, if anybody out there has got information.
I mean, I got a channel number on a separate phone for my YouTube channel. But I've started to get calls from advertisers and scammers and that on that phone, which I never used to get. So I've actually removed that now and just left the email up.
Rogers is set up that you can't get his phone number.
Yeah.
I think mine is as well.
The phone number's on there, but it's only who we allow can see it. Those
friends
that
can, but not general public.
But I always say those that need my number, I've given them it. There's only
your channel number's on the videos anyway.
No, it's not. I've removed it.
Oh, you've taken it off. Okay. Sorry.
The only one I've never publicised out there, because I'll only give that to people I want it to, is my personal mobile number. I don't put that out there anywhere. But there is an email there. I did put the phone number for the channel phone in there because I only do WhatsApp on the phone. I don't do it on the computer. But again, I was getting some very, very strange WhatsApp messages at one point. So I just deleted the number off the channel. But guys, that's gone 10 o'clock now. Thank you all for dropping in tonight. It's been a good stream as far as I'm concerned. I hope you guys have enjoyed it. Maybe one or two have learnt a few things which they didn't know, being as I've got a head full of useless information. But there will be a video of some sort tomorrow. As I say, if you don't get an alert, always have a look around midday or after. If there's something posted, it's usually up by then. Normally, I don't do one on a Friday, but I have started doing the odd one on a Saturday now. So, but
as soon as I've got something sorted with the girls, the loose women will be let loose on you guys, and I'll get Roger to advertise it.
Hi, Steve. I knew you'd be in the background there somewhere. All right, then, guys, we'll call that it. my respects to all of you, and thank you for dropping in tonight, as I say. And as always, at the end of everything, stay safe, stay strong, and stay free. So it's good night from me, and
It's good night from her. Take care, everyone.
take care, guys. Oh, got to press that one, haven't I?